Classic zombies. George A. Romero defined the category in 1968 with Night of the Living Dead, a film made on $114,000 that generated over $30 million and permanently rewired the human fear response toward shambling corpses. Romero never used the word zombie in that film. He called them ghouls. The classic zombie walks at 0.5 to 1.2 miles per hour. Average human walking speed is 3.1. A person in reasonable shape can outpace one indefinitely. This is precisely the point. The slow zombie is a mathematical problem. 1 is a nuisance. 10 is a concern. 100 is a death sentence. A 2009 epidemiological study at the University of Ottawa modeled a Romero rules outbreak and concluded that unless human response was immediate and aggressive, civilization would collapse within days. Not because the zombies were fast, but because exponential growth is merciless. Each fallen corpse becomes a new soldier for the other side. The body continues to decompose. Romero's zombies in Day of the Dead showed advanced putrefaction, jaws detaching, intestines dragging on asphalt. In theory, a slow zombie apocalypse is self-solving. Decomposition would reduce every corpse to immobile bones in 3 to 5 years. The question is whether any organized society survives long enough to see it. Fast zombies. Danny Boyle's 28 Days Later, 2002, detonated the fast zombie into the mainstream. The infected are not dead, their hearts beat. They sprint at full human speed, closing a 100-meter gap in under 13 seconds. The rage virus transmits through blood and saliva, with an incubation period between 10 and 20 seconds. 20 seconds! From the moment infected blood hits a mucous membrane, a person has less time than it takes to tie a shoe before becoming a screaming, hemorrhaging predator. The fast zombie breaks every survival strategy built for the classic archetype. Barricades are meaningless when the threat can sprint and leap. The infected are running themselves to death. The virus disables the brain's pain and exhaustion circuits, so tendons shred, joints dislocate, cardiac tissue ruptures under sustained adrenaline. In 28 Days Later, the infection burns out within 5 weeks because the infected die of starvation and catastrophic physical failure. Zack Snyder's 2004 Dawn of the Dead remake pushed further by making fast zombies actually dead, removing that biological clock entirely. A dead sprinter that does not tire, does not starve, and does not feel its body tearing apart is arguably the most dangerous single organism in horror fiction. Mutant zombies. Resident Evil, Capcom's 1996 survival horror landmark, is the architect of this category. The T-virus does not merely reanimate dead tissue, it rewrites it. The tyrant stands 9 feet tall. The licker is a skinless quadruped with an exposed brain and a prehensile tongue capable of decapitation. The Nemesis, from Resident Evil 3, is a T-103 tyrant implanted with a parasite called NE-alpha that grants rudimentary intelligence, weapon use, and a single program directive: eliminate all STARS members. The mutation category exists because standard zombies become predictable. The human brain adapts. Once you understand a zombie lunges, bites, and dies to a headshot, fear diminishes. Mutant zombies re-inject unpredictability. The bloater in The Last of Us absorbs shotgun rounds behind fungal armor. The Rat King, a fusion of multiple infected bodies merged over decades in damp hospital basements, barely fits through doorways. Left 4 Dead's tank hurls concrete slabs. Each mutation invalidates whatever strategy the protagonist relied on. This is not biological evolution. It is narrative evolution, a storytelling tool that forces adaptation. Virus-based zombies. Rabies kills approximately 59,000 people per year. The virus travels along peripheral nerves to the brain at 12 to 24 millimeters per day. Once symptoms appear, the fatality rate is effectively 100%. In its furious form, rabies produces aggression, hydrophobia, hypersalivation, and an overwhelming compulsion to bite. The infected human becomes a transmission vector driven by the virus's reproductive logic. This is not fiction. The realistic zombie subgenre takes existing pathogens and asks one question: What if it were slightly worse? The cordyceps fungus controls ant behavior in the real world. Ophiocordyceps unilateralis forces infected carpenter ants to climb to a precise height, clamp their mandibles onto a leaf vein, and die so the fungus can fruit from the ant's head in optimal dispersal conditions. In 2023, Harvard researchers found the fungus replaces ant muscle tissue with fungal cells, controlling the body like a biological mech suit, while the brain remains intact but disconnected from motor function. The ant is a passenger in its own body. Max Brooks's 2006 novel World War Z grounded every aspect of its outbreak in meticulous geopolitical and epidemiological detail. The realistic zombie is terrifying not because it is plausible tomorrow, but because every component of its horror already exists separately in nature. The gap is not a canyon. It is a crack. Fungal zombies. Cordyceps became the most feared word in gaming on June 14, 2013, when The Last of Us launched on PlayStation 3. Neil Druckmann has stated the concept originated from a BBC Planet Earth scene showing a bullet ant consumed from within by Ophiocordyceps. 4 minutes of footage changed an entire genre. The fungal zombie operates on a different horror principle than viral infection. A virus hijacks cells to replicate. A fungus colonizes, digests, and replaces the host. The stages follow a grotesque progression. Stage 1, runners. Recent infection, extreme aggression, loss of cognition, mycelium spreading through the brain. Stage 2, stalkers. Weeks to months, fungal growths erupting through skin, rudimentary ambush behavior. Stage 3, clickers. Approximately 1 year, fungus overgrows the head, eyes destroyed, navigation by echolocation, producing the distinctive clicking. A single bite is instant death. Stage 4, bloaters. Years to decades of growth, massively armored, capable of hurling concentrated acid. The 2023 HBO adaptation spent $10 million per episode and generated a 28% spike in Google searches for cordyceps within 1 week. Real cordyceps supplement sales spiked simultaneously. People were buying the thing they were terrified of. Supernatural zombies. The word zombie entered English from Haitian Creole, derived from the Congo word nzambi, meaning spirit of a dead person. The original zombie was never a flesh-eating monster. It was a slave. In Haitian voodoo, a bokor could capture a person's tibon ange, the soul component governing personality and will, and reanimate their body as a mindless laborer for sugar plantations. No pay, no rest, no food beyond unsalted rice. Salt was believed to restore zombies' awareness of its own death. Ethnobotanist Wade Davis traveled to Haiti in 1982 and claimed real zombification used tetrodotoxin from pufferfish to induce death-like coma, followed by datura to maintain a suggestible, brain-damaged state. His work was criticized. Peer reviews found inconsistent toxin levels, but the cultural reality was undeniable. Haitians feared zombification more than death. Article 249 of the Haitian Penal Code classifies zombification as murder, even if the victim survives. The supernatural zombie persists through the Evil Dead franchise, where Deadites are humans possessed by Kandarian demons. The White Walkers in Game of Thrones raise armies through ice magic. Norse mythology's Draugr guarded burial mounds with superhuman strength, could increase their size at will, and smelled so foul horses refused to approach them. Intelligent zombies. In Romero's Land of the Dead, 2005, a zombie called Big Daddy picks up a gun, studies it, and figures out the trigger. No music. The camera holds on his decayed face. Something recognizable flickers behind milky eyes. It is the most disturbing image across 6 Romero films. The intelligent zombie violates the fundamental contract of the genre. Zombies are supposed to be mindless, a natural disaster with teeth like a flood. You cannot negotiate with a flood. The moment a zombie thinks, it becomes an enemy that was once human, remembers fragments of its life and feels no pain, no fear, no mercy. Return of the Living Dead introduced zombies capable of speech and tactical planning. including the iconic scene where one uses an ambulance radio to request more paramedics be sent to its location. Warm Bodies features a zombie named R, who regains consciousness through emotional connection, eventually speaking in full sentences and making moral choices. iZombie's undead retain full cognition as long as they consume brains, absorbing memories and skills of the deceased. The intelligent zombie forces a moral crisis the mindless horde never could. If it can think, can it suffer? If it remembers being human, is destroying it killing or mercy? No comfortable answers exist. Controlled zombies. A single ant has approximately 250,000 neurons. A colony of 300 million Argentine ants solves optimization problems that would challenge a supercomputer. The hive mind zombie borrows directly from entomology. In Resident Evil 4, Las Plagas parasites infiltrate the nervous system and connect infected individuals to a centralized control structure. The Ganados set traps, coordinate flanking, use weapons, and communicate through guttural tactical commands. Individually stupid, collectively strategic, each node in a distributed intelligence network. The Flood in the Halo franchise operates identically. A parasitic biomass called the Gravemind accumulates enough hosts to achieve sapience, then speaks, plans, and manipulates. Train to Busan's zombies display swarming behavior, mimicking collective intelligence, piling onto each other to breach barriers, changing directions simultaneously, falling dormant without stimuli, as though a switch flipped. Hive mind zombies eliminate humanity's reliable advantage against the undead: individual intelligence. Against mindless corpses, a clever survivor finds an edge. Against a coordinated swarm with distributed processing, individual cleverness equals a single ant trying to outthink the colony. Experimental zombies. In 1943, Unit 731 of the Imperial Japanese Army conducted biological warfare experiments on living prisoners in Manchuria. Plague, cholera, anthrax. Approximately 3,000 died. The United States granted researchers immunity in exchange for their data. This is the real-world soil from which the experimental zombie grows. The Umbrella Corporation in Resident Evil developed the T-virus as a biological weapon under pharmaceutical cover. When it escaped, Umbrella's response was not rescue, but sterilization. A thermobaric missile reduced Raccoon City to a crater. Prototype's Blacklight virus was developed at a military facility in Idaho and released deliberately in Manhattan as a field test. The division depicts weaponized smallpox on paper currency during Black Friday, collapsing New York infrastructure in 5 days. Resident Evil has produced at least 14 distinct agents across its timeline: T-virus, G-virus, T-Veronica, Las Plagas, Ouroboros, C-virus, the Mold. Each was someone's project, with a budget, a timeline, and a progress report filed in triplicate. The experimental zombie is the most cynical archetype because it needs no supernatural explanation, no cosmic accident, only a government, a budget, and the willingness to see what happens. Special zombies. Left 4 Dead, released by Valve in 2008, divided its undead into 8 distinct classes, each designed to counter specific player behavior. The smoker's 50-foot tongue drags isolated survivors, punishing anyone who wanders from the group. The hunter pounces from rooftops, punishing anyone who ignores the skyline. The boomer's bile attracts the horde, punishing blind shooting. The tank throws cars and absorbs concentrated fire from all 4 survivors, punishing wasteful ammunition use. The witch sits weeping in darkness and instantly kills anyone who disturbs her, punishing carelessness with a one-hit death. Each special zombie answers one question: what kills complacency? Dying Light's Volatile emerges at night, outruns the player, climbs any surface, hunts in packs. The only options are ultraviolet light or dawn. The entire day-night cycle exists because of one enemy type. World War Z introduced the Bull, charging through crowds to pin survivors, and the Screamer, whose shriek summons additional waves. Without class variation, every encounter is identical. Shoot the slow thing in the head. With classes, every encounter is a puzzle. Which threat first? Where is the smoker? Is the sobbing a witch or a survivor? That answer determines whether you open the door with a shotgun or a first aid kit. Armored zombies. The human skull averages 6.5 to 7.1 millimeters thick. A 9mm round penetrates approximately 60 centimeters of ballistic gelatin. Against a bloater's head encased in 3 to 4 inches of hardened fungal chitin with the density of dried oak, that round is useless. The armored zombie's purpose? Make the headshot fail. Dead Space built its combat system around this principle. Necromorphs cannot be killed by headshots. Reanimation operates through the entire nervous system via alien signal. Only strategic dismemberment works. Remove the slasher's arm blades to stop it. Shoot the head off. It charges blind. Shoot the legs off. It drags itself by blade arms, still lethal. Call of Duty Zombies features the Panzer Soldat, a reanimated World War II soldier in mechanized armor requiring sustained heavy fire. Dead Rising's military zombies wear riot gear, deflecting melee and small arms fire. The zombie genre has an arms race problem. As players acquire better weapons and tactics, standard zombies become trivial. The armored zombie is inflation adjustment. It devalues existing strategies and forces new acquisition. In gameplay, it is why stockpiling shotgun shells cannot guarantee victory. In narrative, it is the moment a survivor realizes the rules changed, that yesterday's tactics mean today's death. And adaptation is not optional.